Hello, Dr. Ray.
Hi, Dr. Ray. How are you?
I'm sure I'm going to get really good advice from you.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You're right on track with this. You're right on track.
My idea, my theory, my guidance is a bit of a stretch.
Everybody make a mistake.
Does that comfort you?
No.
Am I close?
No.
You are so wrong.
You're so wonderful.
Why do I have to be the insightful professional?
Someone intelligent on radio. Yay!
Did I make you feel a lot better or what?
No, you made me feel worse.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I'm stumped, Eric. I'm trying to figure out how to scroll this, and I can't. This coming from a guy who wore his garage door opener for 2 years so people would think I had a pager. Now it's gone. Okay. Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. I am not in Canton. I am in Ave Maria Studios here in Ann Arbor, across the plexiglass with my friends and my compatriots. Andrew Kruchek, producer man. I can't figure out how to... There it goes, like that. How do I get it to do that?
2 fingers.
Just 2 fingers. I was just using one. See, these techno geniuses know this. Me, what a dummy. I was using one finger to scroll. I should have known that. But I'm here because last night I had a wonderful time at Our Lady of Good Counsel in Plymouth. You folks for showing up. Thank you so very, very much. Got me on a bit of a comedy tour, and my producer man, Andrew Kruchek, pointed out to me that I can't be funny today. I can't tell any of the jokes because tonight, good Lord permitting, some hours from now, I will be at the Maumee Indoor Theater. And by the way, my GPS does not know. I keep asking her driving distance from here to Maumee, and she just puts out 6,000 miles because she spells some kind of town that has 9 vowels in it that I'd never heard of, and it's 6,000 miles away. So she's just not listening. But good Lord permitting. Now, they told me that event is, well, sold out is kind of a misleading term. It's audience out. It's a free event. So if you come, you're going to get your money's worth. That's a guarantee. But I don't know. Typically, you don't know. All the folks who say they're coming don't always come. I mean, that's a law of attendance. And the Guarendi formula in actually calculating the number of people attending, I just got a note from David. Let's see what David said here. Filled to capacity. That's okay, David, if everybody shows up. My Guarendi formula is you take the number of people who signed up, said they're coming, take the square root of that, subtract 40, you got an estimate. Well, that's probably a little off because that's not the way it worked last night. Pretty much everybody showed up, and I got a feeling that's going to happen tonight. But I thank you so much. So we'll see if we can have a good time with some new jokes. The number to get onto the program is 877-573-7825. 877-57 is the number to call to get onto the program. If you have a question about something in your life, circumstances, situations, anything, whether it's particular to you or to someone you love or struggle to love, or it's generic, something that you've wondered about culturally speaking, had a couple of those yesterday, therapeutically speaking, diagnostically speaking, anything like that, or if you want to call to help somebody else out, a lot of folks do that. That's a good thing. You give good advice like that, you get days off purgatory. I mean, I can't prove it. I'll have to look it up on the June issue of Purgatory Today. 877-57 is the number to call to get onto the program. Now, Andrew Kruchek pointed out to me yesterday that the day before, Tuesday, August 12th, National Middle Child Day. Well, we got national days for everything. We got National Squirrel Day, National Acorn Day, National Septic Sewer Day, I don't know. Anyway, honors the in-between child in the family. And then it says, and I'm going to make a comment on this, of course, larger families celebrate more than one middle child, too. Now, we're going to get into that because I think that blows the whole theory of middle child syndrome out of the water. It says here, many believe that birth order plays a pivotal role in the personalities of children. For example, the middle child syndrome describes the firstborn as the leader and the role player. The youngest one, baby of the family. Therefore, the middle child is kind of this lost child, in between. Well, if you look at the research, it doesn't support this. Nice little theory. Doesn't really support it. Parents will say to me, "No, Dr. A, I'll tell you what, in my family, that is the way it is. My middle child is the one who struggles the most. My middle child seeks the most attention. My middle child seems to be the one that has the most self-image problems. My middle child seems to be the one who really doesn't know where he fits in the family structure." I think the explanation for that is more due to temperament. The way he is wired innately, the way his personality is. He would be that way if he were the oldest. But Dr. A, isn't that middle child syndrome? Well, think about it. He has a 1 in 3 chance of being like that by temperament in that middle position. 1 in 3 is plenty to keep a stereotype alive. Plenty. So the idea that, okay, we've got some of these middle kids who are like this. Yeah, they may be quite like that because of who they are. That's their personality. That's the way they approach life. That's their innate wiring. That's their interpretation of things. And they'd be that way if they were second oldest, fifth youngest. It doesn't matter. But I think middle child syndrome has gotten momentum as families have gotten smaller. For example, if you have 3 kids, which is, I don't know what the stats on that are. I think a 3-child family, Andrew, you can probably look that up. What's the percentage of families that have 3 kids? I got to believe it's just 3. Yeah, I think it's about 20%, be my guess. So, because of that, you can say throughout the course of child rearing, that kid was in the middle when the baby was born. So let's maybe say he was 4 when the baby was born and his older sister was 6. So he had close to 10, 12, 15 years of being the middle child. So you could say, yeah, that locks him into that middle child persona. 2 children in a family is now much more the norm. So you don't have a middle child. And that's what I tell parents. If you're worried about middle child syndrome, don't have an odd number of kids. You got 4, you can have an upper middle and a lower middle, but you really can't have a middle. Although I've heard some middle children theorists say, no, they're both kind of in the middle, then they share the middle child persona. 15%. All right, I wasn't too far off. This is my gut instinct is 15% of American families have 3 kids, just 3. So, now with 5, I got to figure, Andy, what's that? 4%, 5% maybe? So, approximately, boy, am I good or what? He says it's approximately 5%. Boy, it's good having that wire service on the other side of the plexiglass. So, given all that, you really have a middle child for years if you don't have a big family. When we had 3 children, my daughter Hannah was the middle child. Andrew oldest, Sarah youngest. So Hanny was middle child. And you figure, let's see what happens to Hanny's personality being the middle child. Well, she didn't stay middle child very long, maybe a year and a half. We adopted Sam. So Hanny moved up to upper middle. Then we adopted the twins a couple years later. Now Hanny was definitely second oldest of 6. And the twins were in the middle, but they shared the middle position because there was 6 kids and they were 3 and 4 in that whole structure. But they were twins, so maybe they could, like, share more middle than typical middle. Twin middle. Well, then we got Pete. Pete was number 7. So let's see, that moved Sammy? I think that moved Sammy into that middle child position. Number 4, right? 7, 6, 5, and then Sammy 4, middle. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Then we went to 8 and 9. James and Mary were adopted roughly at the same time, so we went to 8 and 9. Now, Hannah is definitely the oldest next to Andrew, so she's long since abandoned middle child. No more. Well, did she have any residual middle child syndrome? Is there leftover kind of like chronic middle child syndrome? Can you have acute middle child syndrome? You know, back when she was middle child for about a year, did she absorb the middle child persona, or did she just kind of shoot through the whole position? You see how complex it gets? It really is a nice little, cutesy little theory, but in fact, it does not have much in the way of research support. The only place birth order seems to show anything is oldest and only. Group, a little more independent, a little more achieving, maybe. As a group now, these are not automatic findings. So we like to latch on to things that sound cutesy. But here's the other thing about personality. It's very complex. It's very diverse. So given all that, it's fun. But here's I think a little bit of the danger in it. It can predispose you to look for things that may not really be there, or if they are there, are not there in that intensity. Well, he's got self-image problems. What do you expect? He's a middle child, She acts up an awful lot, but that's what I heard about middle children, They do those kinds of things. And you're looking for the wrong explanation. Maybe she acts up because you're not disciplining her well enough because her temperament's a little more pushy. The oldest wasn't that pushy. She is. And you're thinking, well, okay, look at this. I mean, she's kind of a behavior problem for us. That's that middle child thing, isn't it? No, it's probably the dynamic between the way you handle her and her temperament. Temperament is so much more powerful than birth order. Any parent of more than one kid knows how very different their personalities can be. Very. And some of those most difficult kids fall in the middle. About a third of them if you have 3 kids, and 20% of them if you have 5 kids. Let me do the math for 7 kids. You got 7 kids, is 14, roughly 14%. Yeah, about 14% of them. 9 kids, 11% of them. And they keep moving. They keep shifting around. So I like this where they say big families can have a number of middle children. Yeah, over the course we had like 4 or 5 middle kids. But they didn't stay there very long. They moved on or up. Fortunately, none of them moved down. But their personalities were shaped much more powerfully by how they were wired and by our parenting. So, like the middle child stuff, it's fun. But it really doesn't have much impact. But let's let them have their National Middle Child Day. I'm Dr. Ray.
Every woman deserves specialized health care. At Arbor Women Health, our team of compassionate professionals listen to our patients and want to understand what they're going through. They serve everyone from teen girls to seniors. Our faith-based clinicians specialize in obstetrics, gynecology, fertility awareness and crisis, or unexpected pregnancies. Call 734-930-4020 or visit arborwomenhealth.org. Arbor Women, faith-inspired, dignity-affirming healthcare.
Have you ever received an email, text, or commentary from someone that came from such a place of anger and hate that you were totally taken back? I was once attacked on Facebook by someone I've known for years about a conversation over abortion and Planned Parenthood. I never attacked her or threw out any nasty name-calling. I just shared data and facts and offered to share more offline. She basically told me that I could take my data and shove it. I knew she was coming from a place of pain. I don't know her past experiences, but I understood that what was coming out of her mouth was something that lived in her heart. When we're placed in these situations, we may want to respond by defending ourselves or attacking back. But as Christians, we need to stop and think. Focus the conversation on Christ and continue to come from a place of love and charity. Invite the Holy Spirit into your heart to guide you, because what lives in your heart will come out of your mouth. This has been a Christ-Centered Communication message. I'm Vanessa Denha Garmo, a communications evangelist and host of Epiphany.
Honey, did you ever call Mighty Dog Roofing of Ann Arbor for that free roof inspection?
I knew I forgot something.
Roof leaks can cause mold buildup or even roof collapse. Protect your family today by calling local Catholics Dan and Mary Flanagan at Mighty Dog Roofing for a free inspection of your roof, siding, or windows. Mighty Dog Roofing, 734-224-4916. That's 734-224-4916.
Just can't be depressed when you're listening to banjo music. You know? It's really hard. Dr. Guarendi, thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. Appreciate the company, appreciate the calls. Okay, Lourdes called from New England. She called, and then she didn't call, and then she called again. Hi, Lourdes, how are you?
Hi, Dr. Ray. Good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, nothing gaining on me.
I appreciate your insight, but I have a question. There's a lot of people that are homebound. They can't get out. They really don't have friends. They live alone. They don't have family. So how do you deal with loneliness besides offering it up?
I was not going to tell you to offer it up, you know that? Because I figured, Lourdes, you were already doing that. It's kind of like people saying, why don't you tell people to pray? And I say, well, you got to know your audience, and most of the people who listen to Catholic radio are prayers. And they pray about a lot of things. So for me to say, well, Lourdes, you need to pray. You need to pray and offer it up. What I would say, dear, is somehow find a way for you to reach outside of your home. Now, let's say that physically you can't do that. All right? How about finding out, and you can explore this, writing letters to prisoners, people in prison, the majority of whom, after the first few years they're in there, no longer have anybody visit them whatsoever. Nothing from the outside. Writing some letters. You could do that. Or you could find out who to mentor through a local big brother, big sister, or something like that, where you reach outside of your home through communication that doesn't require you to travel. I had a lady once talk about how she did this. She was homebound, and she had this ministry just going out in every direction to people who were lonely. And she found them. She did. She checked through a lot of local organizations and charitable places, and she found them. And she emailed them. She did that. Or she called them. All kinds of ways to do that. And I think you would be able to do that. Take a little bit of effort, but once you got the ball rolling, you'd be serving a lot of people, dear folks, dear lady, and you'd get back a lot. Does it sound workable to you?
I hate writing letters. I hate it with a passion. But, yeah, you gave some good ideas.
So call. I hate writing letters, too. So call. Do some email. Do some exploring and find out exactly where the isolated people are in your community or nearby. And I'll tell you, one place that really is isolated is the prisons. I have a couple of friends in prison, and they'll tell you, we don't know. The first year or two that you're in serving a long sentence, you'll get visitors. If I go see someone that I know in prison, And it's a facility of about 3,000 inmates, something like that. So if I go in with a friend and we visit in the visitor's room, at any given time, it could be 10 people in there, 15 maybe, during visiting hours, of a facility that has 3,000 guys in it. Yeah, most of them got nobody. Mm-hmm. You know what you could do? You could just write one letter, make it generic, and then add some names. You can call your local facility, county jail, or even your local close by prison institution. Even for the girls, for the ladies, they don't have much either. Most of them don't get many visitors. So they cling to a letter. Or I know what you're saying. I hate writing letters too. I absolutely hate it too. I'd much rather visit or call. And here's the other thing that can happen. They're allowed to call out. So I have a guy that I know that he'll call me relatively regularly. Now, I can't take the call all the time, but we have a chance to chat for about a half an hour. That's the limit that they're allowed to have. And once we made that connection, he was able to call. You could do some wonderful things for people, dear, and I think that would lift the idea of I'm isolated, I'm alone, and I can't do any good for anybody. Mm-hmm. One other thing, I got to tell you this, one other thing. They did this study among the elderly, and they found out which elderly were more content with their existence and which were less. And they said it was the ones that had the wider social network, the wider social contacts. Now, they assumed that meant the wider social contact could support the elderly, and they were shocked when they found out it was just the opposite, that the wider social contacts, didn't have to be in person, the wider social contacts allowed the elderly to reach out more often, and that was the positive thing. Took these researchers by surprise. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, dear. Hey, I mean, if we're in a situation where we say, I'm isolated, I'm alone, I have minimal options, I'm constricted, it comes down to how much you want to reach out beyond that. It really does. And the irony here is that Lourdes would be reaching toward people who are more isolated in many respects than she is. I mean, I would imagine that she doesn't never have anybody personally contact her. Could be, I don't know, but as opposed to in a prison setting where you have no one from the outside contact you. All right, let's see where we're going here. We got, let's go to Peter. Peter Moe from Missouri, Covenant Radio, wonderful network. I only got a minute and a half. All right, well, Peter knows he's going to get cut off by the break. Right now, I'll warn him, but we'll talk a little more. Hi, Peter. Hello there, Peter. Andrew, do we lose Peter? He looks like he's there. Let's find out. Maybe he put it on mute. Give him one more chance. Peter going once. Peter going twice. Okay. And then let's go to... Don't go to anybody. Only got a minute. All right. I'll do the last beating of the bushes. Be the last time I'll be able to do this because tomorrow, of course, being Feast of the Assumption, not on the air. Well, I'll be recorded on the air, but not live. Station of the Cross. Repeat after the break. Station of the Cross, Buffalo, TV show, first 4 episodes of season number 15. Living Right with Dr. Ray. Go to thestationofthecross.com to sign up to be in the audience. WNED, downtown Buffalo. We'll tell you the times, tell you the place, and we'd love to have you in the audience. Father Larry will be there August 19th, and the 20th will be just me. So we got 400 with Father Larry and 7 with just me. Thank you for joining me here, Dr. Reed. Doctor is in. Went to Peter before the break, and we figured it out through our massive technological reach that Peter may have muted himself. And most people want to mute me, but he did it to himself. Maybe he unmuted himself. Peter, are you unmuted?
I am unmuted.
All right, my friend. You want to mute me or just let me go?
No. I won't mute you.
Okay, what you got? Now, this is a classic generic question. Like I say, some are particular, some generic. This is pretty generic.
What makes a man in comparison to a boy, other than age?
Well, I guess you would have to define it as some type of maturity. And I don't mean developmental maturity. I mean moral maturity, thinking maturity, ability to delay impulse, ability to see consequences, ability to self-control, all of the factors that we see as not only psychological well-adjustment, but virtue. And those are slow developing over time, obviously. And I know that I think I'm still struggling with that even at my age, as we all are. So maybe, God willing, I'll be a man at the way I should have been in heaven.
Yeah, the main clarifying question is, how do I know when I become a man in comparison to who I once was a boy?
The way you conduct yourself and the way you think. I would ask you this. Do you look at life now the same way you did when you were 14? Or are you more mature, more charitable, more open, more clear thinking, more critical thinking? You like to think you are?
I'd like to say that I am, but as the Bible says, no one is good except for God.
Yes, no one is perfectly good. But the Catholic Church also teaches that anyone can strive to be good with God's grace. And it's not a goodness that God just declares. He doesn't just declare you righteous as he sees you through the blood of Christ. That's mostly Protestant theology. The Catholic Church would teach, no, God is doing a good work in you, like St. Paul says. And Jesus says you must be perfect even as your heavenly Father is perfect. The Church has always taught that the grace that God gives you is to actually change the way you are. So that'll move you from a boy to a man, and hopefully in that manhood there is sainthood. So maybe that's the biggest difference between a boy and a man, in the best sense of the word, is being a saint. But I sense some self-doubt as you assess yourself and you say, I don't know if I'm progressing into manhood the way I want. Am I misreading that?
I'm just not sure if I have grown as much as I could have.
Well, my friend, welcome to the club. Because anybody that is clear thinking and looks at themselves honestly would probably be forced to say, I'm not sure I've grown as much as I could have. That is honest self-assessment. And I'll go so far as to say this, Peter. The fact that you even realize that is a beautiful quality of manhood.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my friend. God bless you. All right, I got time. Let me see, Andrew. I'm looking. Oh, yeah, I got plenty of time. What happened? Our child bullied at school dropped away? Prey dropped away? Okay. Now, this young lady's been waiting here for a while. Anonymous female from North Carolina. Her husband was recently diagnosed attention deficit disorder. Hi, wife.
Hey, Dr. Ray. Thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate it. I've been a longtime fan. My mom's a longtime fan, so Thank you for everything you do.
Well, see, this is what affects me badly. You know, you get these younger people who say, "My mom has been your fan," and pretty soon they're starting to say things like, "Oh yeah, my grandmother has been your fan since she was 11." All right, knock it off.
Well, I'm grateful. So thank you.
Who diagnosed your husband this?
We went to it's called the Amen Clinic. It was like they did a combination of like a psychological examination and a SPECT imaging brain scan and looked at his like history, and they looked at all of that together and said that he had ADD.
Attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder?
I'm not sure. It seems like they use the two terms interchangeably.
Yeah,
we were surprised because he doesn't act hyperactive in a way that you would traditionally expect it. But he's also an adult, so it looks different in an adult than it does in kids.
When you said they did history, was this a young kid who struggled through school?
He didn't struggle through school, but he was also homeschooled. So they were just kind of looking at kind of like patterns throughout his life, and I don't want to like get too much into like his past and everything, just because I don't want to be I don't want to be, I know I called it anonymously, but I just want to be really respectful to his family and not get into stuff like that. But that was kind of what that was looking at.
Yeah, let me put words in your mouth. So as they assessed him, and in their perspective, they saw things that they felt would indicate that this ADD diagnosis was there early on.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. They were surprised that he had not been examined by anybody before.
There had to be a precipitating event that made both of you say, we got to go get some kind of assessment.
Well, there's kind of been events our whole marriage. We have been married for 8.5 years. We have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. And we met in college. We were really young, and so, things were emotional and dramatic, but we had both never dated before, and we were, 18, 19, so it was easy to just chalk it up to us being overly dramatic teenagers that didn't know how to be in relationships yet. And so we broke up for a little while, and then when we got back together before we became engaged and then got married, it seemed like he had really, gotten his act together. And he's not good at faking anything. So it was, he consistently over months of time acted like he had really gotten his act together and matured and wasn't doing the things that had caused me to break up with him in the first place, namely controlling his emotions better.
Stay there, dear. That music is telling me that I have to shut up. You don't. You can talk all the way through it, but I have to shut up because nobody's going to hear me. You stay right there, and when we come back, you've already raised a bunch of questions I have for you. Thank you for joining me. Dr. Ray Guarendi program. Doctor is in. Good Lord permitting, it will be tonight down at the Maumee Theater near Toledo area. They are filled to capacity, as I understand it. Going to do a comedy gig. Yeah, that's right. Going to have some fun with maybe some new jokes. Now, I'm talking to a young lady who's been married 8.5 years, met her husband early on in college. And she said a whole bunch of things that got my spidey senses up. Her husband has been recently diagnosed, which sounds like it was a pretty extensive evaluation, and been labeled ADD. Now, we don't know exactly what the symptom picture is, represented by those letters, for him. There are various manifestations of attention deficit. Are you still there, dear?
I am.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Now, you said some things. You talked about some bumpy spots in your marriage. You talked about his emotional control. You talked about we were young and kind of foolish, which are all trigger words. Excuse me, shouldn't say that. All indications that, there's been parts of his personality that don't exactly mesh easily in a marital situation. So far, so good?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. And typically what happens is when you have stuff like that, you look for a cause. Okay, what is it? What is it about this individual internally that is making him be like this? And not uncommonly, they get letters. Now, I'm not here to dispute those letters at all. I can't do that. I don't know your husband. But what I would say, you want the good news, you want the bad news?
Either one.
Okay. I'll give you the good news first, which is you got some sort of explanation as to why he is the way he is to live with. Here's the bad news. So what? Just because you put a label on it, he still is who he is. And he still...
No, right. The thing is that he, in the time that I've known him, which is over 11 years now since we actually met and started dating, there's been moments where he's able to wrangle kind of the things in his mind that kind of drive him crazy and make him kind of emotional and irrational. There's been moments and phases spanning anywhere from like a couple days to a couple years where he's able to kind of maybe quiet some of those demons and wrestle some of those mental struggles and relax and be like, let his good qualities shine through.
What's that tell you?
I know.
What does that tell you?
He can.
So if in fact
that he is like a really, it just feels like there's this amazing person that is trapped by like torturous thoughts.
Well, what you're saying is, that's not ADD. That is not.
When we went down there, I thought maybe he had a personality disorder because he has this big Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde complex. And that was kind of, he agreed to go because he's tortured by work all the time. It doesn't matter what job he has. He's incredibly successful at every job he has.
Here's what I would suggest.
It consumes him.
He needs to get to a therapist who practices cognitive behavioral therapy to get rid of some of his irrational, self-defeating thinking. The way he interprets events, the way he interprets his own image, the way he interprets his feelings of competency, the way he interprets you, the way he interprets your marriage. It sounds like he's got a whole bunch of things. Now, I can't know him. I'm just going by what you say.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a whole bunch of ways that he causes trouble for himself.
He does. He makes his life so much harder than it has to be.
Right. So his thinking may be wacky. And by that, I don't mean crazy. I mean, it just causes problems for him because his perceptions create emotions, and the emotions create difficulty in getting along in a marriage. So, you can call it ADD, but bad thinking is not necessarily ADD. And it sounds like...
No, that's fine. I guess I say that just to try to, shortcut giving a big, long-winded explanation of things going on.
Well, but see, the reason, though, here's the reason. You're going to deal with him as he is. And he's going to have to deal with him as he is to get better at this. You say he can do it for a period of time. My guess would be that's when things are kind of gone good, when he feels successful at work, or when the kids are not as frustrating. So he has periods of time when life seems to smooth out for him, so he doesn't think it badly.
Transition. There's no pressure, because it's like we're transitioning from one thing to another.
There you go. So in other words, when it's relatively calm and peaceful, he's okay. But when things get a little stressful, he starts thinking badly, and he creates it a lot more turbulent than it needs to be. And until he gets to the point where he recognizes what he's doing to himself. ADHD is not bad thinking.
Yeah, right.
So that, I think, I hope that he recognizes that whatever it is in your marriage or in his personality is probably much broader than an ADD diagnosis. Now, it doesn't mean that he's pathological. It just means that what you've noticed is that he is capable of struggling. When things get a little tense, things get a little unpredictable, things get a little transitional, he struggles. And as a result, he doesn't settle himself down.
Yeah. I just don't know how. I've brought up cognitive behavioral therapy to him before and brain retraining and talked to him about that. We've talked all of this to death. I don't know how to get through to him because he's unwilling to recognize, I don't know if he's unwilling or unable to recognize the impact that this is having on our marriage and the family. And so he rarely tries to make big changes if there isn't something dire at stake. Like, if things aren't blowing up,
he's reactive.
He thinks everything is fine.
He's reactive. In other words, if it's bad,
I don't know how to get through to him.
Well, I'm not sure you can. And I'm not saying this to say give up on the marriage. I'm simply saying if he's not cooperative, you quit beating your head against the wall. And in so many words, you say, I can't make you think differently. You have to want to look at yourself and say, what am I doing to myself and my wife and my kids? You have to want to do that. I can't make you want to do that. I think that's what you got to tell him.
Right. I guess we have been through so many cycles of me telling him that and trying to get help.
It sounds, my dear, like you got some major marriage problems here. And, I hate to do the old get counseling. But again,
no, I understand.
This is a radio call. And for you, hopefully, if you tell him, this is affecting our marriage, and I really want to go talk to somebody together. Maybe he'll do that. Maybe he'll realize, my wife is a lot more discontent than I realized. We go through these periods of relative quiescence in our marriage, but they don't last. And she's getting more and more frustrated. And I think if you let him know that, you don't want to end the marriage, obviously, but if you let him know, look, we got to do something here, because this stuff's been going on. And I know you said something interesting. I'm just going to let it go at this. You pointed to when you were young, and you kind of said we were immature, and we entered this kind of in the glow of this relationship without really getting to know each other like we should. You kind of implied that. And, okay, so now you're getting to know each other. And sometimes you're frustrated by the way he is. He doesn't see anything wrong with the way he is some of the time. Other times he gets desperate and he changes and tries to do something about it. But I think it's real important for him to know that his wife really wants to do something about this with him. All right, my dear, I got to let you go. Thank you for the call. This is Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
CMF Curo is a Catholic healthcare ministry providing families nationwide with a better solution centered around whole health, spirit, mind, and body. Our members share their medical burdens within a faith-filled community. At CMF Curo, our members have access to a spiritual director, concierge services, and other health and spiritual resources. Find out if CMF Curo is a better solution for your family. Visit mycatholichealthcare.com. That's mycatholichealthcare.com.
Hi, everybody. Dr. Ray Guarendi, host of The Doctor Is In, Ave Maria Radio for 20 years. I've been with them, and during that time I've watched them spread our precious faith to anyone, anywhere. Well, also in that time, their equipment, the equipment that they had is cutting edge, no longer is cutting edge. It's kind of like an iPhone 5. We need your help. We absolutely need your help. Visit AveMariaRadio.net. You're not just donating, you're broadcasting hope.
I don't think we've replaced our siding since we moved in 20 years ago. But I'm sure it's still fine, right?
We better call Mighty Dog Roofing of Ann Arbor.
Damaged siding can cause mold buildup and weaken your home structure. Protect your family by calling local Catholics Dan and Mary Flanagan at Mighty Dog Roofing for a free inspection of your siding, roof, or windows. Mighty Dog Roofing, 734-224-4916. That's 734-224-4916.
Got time for one more call. Let's go to anonymous female from North Dakota. It's a question I myself have. Hi, anonymous from North Dakota. Thanks for the call.
Hi.
How can I help you?
Just kind of a regular question, if you will.
Sure.
When going to confession, what's the best thing to think about? Because I go to confession, I often repeat the same thing sometimes, but the idea of walking out of the confession and think to myself, I want to avoid the near occasion of sin. It just seems like, just walk right out of the confession, and the first thing you want to do is commit that sin again, talking about people or whatever. So I just need you to give me an idea of how to work on that in my mind when I walk out of the confessional. I sincerely mean it at the time, because, if you promise to not commit any sins anymore, you get plenary indulgences, But my question is, how do you psych yourself up, if you will, on avoiding the near occasion of sins?
Well, it isn't really a near occasion of sin. That'd throw you for a loop, isn't it? Because what you're saying is there's nothing that is tempting you. In other words, you're not having problems with alcohol and you're walking by a bar. You're not having problems with pornography and you keep your computer wide open and you can get on it anytime you want. Those are all near occasions. What you're referring to is mind stuff, which is I know I gossip or I know I detract or I know I think ill will of someone. Now, if you say, well, they're a near occasion of sin because they're in my life, that's really shaky, because most of the time people are not near occasions of sin unless they're tempting us to do something wrong. They're near occasions of sin because we have a hard time tolerating them, or we don't like them, or we
I know it's my problem. I just need to know how to keep myself
catch yourself,
if you will.
Catch yourself. Catch yourself.
Say that again.
Catch yourself.
Oh, catch yourself.
You know when you're doing it, so catch yourself earlier. Most people don't realize this. I see this all the time. They do this stuff in their head. For example, they'll rehearse a wrong in their head. And they'll rehearse it for minutes, and they don't stop. Instead of saying, what am I doing? I can stop now. I'm not gonna go over what she did to me and how unfair it was and how awful it was and why I don't like her. I'm gonna let it just get out of my head. So the near occasion of sin for you is the reiteration of all this stuff, as opposed to catching yourself and saying, stop it, here I go again.
Okay.
Because, see, rather than just waiting for it to fade away, okay, so you're thinking about this woman that you don't like and the latest thing she said, and you're thinking, why did she do this, and what could I have said back, and blah, 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 blah. Rather than saying, cut it out, Rose. What are you doing? Let it go. See, we don't do that to ourselves. We really don't. We think we have this right to mull over. And you know as well as I do, most of your near occasions of sin are thinking about your relationships with other people, right?
Yes. Right.
Of course.
Right. Absolutely.
That's where it is. You go, I get frustrated easily, and then I don't have any tolerance for my aunt, and then, I say things back that I shouldn't say, and then when I get really upset, I call my friend and I tell them what they did, and all that stuff. And you get yourself on a roll. Instead of saying, pull the plug, Louise, pull the plug.
No, because some of it revert back to the fact that because we have a whole bunch of kids, and at over 70 years old, as mom, I just had to control 9 kids all the time, and suddenly you say, oh, okay, so it's kind of, in other words, I look at things and say, okay, I know how I cure that situation, because you're so used to doing it with a bunch of kids.
Well, but you don't have those bunch of kids anymore, and now you can say to yourself, the way that worked doesn't work now. I got to let you go, dear, because I'm all done, out of time. Walk with God always.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.